In today's video, I will show you VPC peering, and I will show you hands-on demo how to create a VPC peering. So before I start the video, just a quick reminder: if you haven't subscribed the channel, subscribe the channel, because after complete the 40 days course, I will also create cloud and DevOps related video that will help your professional career. So don't forget to subscribe the channels. So first I will give you overview of the documentation, then I will show you the hands-on demo. So what is VPC peering? Normally, any EC2 is located in any VPC is that EC2 is not accessed from another VPC. Let me explain with a image, then you understand properly. So like here we can see this is one VPC and this is another VPC. So if any EC2 is available in this VCT, this EC2 is not accessed to this VPC. So VPC is isolated. So this is isolated and this is isolated. So no one can access from here to there. So and normally if you want to connect from this EC2 to this EC2, then you can, because these EC2 are in same VPC. So if you want to access this EC2 to this EC2, how we can do that? Then the picture is come VPC peering. So VPC peering is the option to connect from another VPC to that VPC. So these VPCs first come there, then by VPC peering it will connect to this EC2. Same way here is also VPC peering. If this EC2 is want to connect that VPC, come to this VPC, then connect this way. So this way the VPC peering is work. So what is VPC peering? So VPC peering is a private connection between two EC2. So no internet connected, and no internet we need to use from one VPC to connect another VPC. Low latency because it's the same network, then that's why latency is very low, and secure connection. So architecture overview, we should create two VPC and make sure both VPC CIDR are different. This one is 10 dot something and this one is 20 dot something. So we need to make sure CIDR block is different of two VPC. Then we need to create a EC2, like we will create EC2 in this VPC and we will create a EC2 in this VPC. So we'll deploy two VPC into we will deploy two EC2 in two VPC. Then we'll create a pairing connection. Then we'll try to connect from this VPC to this EC2 to this EC2. So hands-on demo, we need to create a EC2 VPC1, and we'll give a name VPC1, and we need to put a subnet CIDR block. Then we'll create another VPC. Then we put the CIDR block is 20 something. Then we'll create a subnet. We need to create a subnet in one VPC, and we need to create a subnet from two VPC2. So we need to create two subnet for both VPC, VPC1 and VPC2. Then we'll create two EC2. So we need to launch the EC2. Same way VPC1 will deploy EC2 in VPC1, and same way we deploy EC2 in VPC2. So we need to create two VPC. We need to create two EC2 in two VPC. So then we need to create a VPC peering connection. We'll go to VPC dashboard. Then we need to go to VPC connection. Then we'll create a VPC peering. Then we need to configure the VPC peering, give a name, and we need to request from one VPC to another VPC. So we need to request from VPC1, and VPC2 need to accept that request. Then that peering connection will be created. So accepting the peering, go to the request, you will get the message accept. Then we just click to accept. Then VPC peering will be activated. So we need to update a route table. It's very important, otherwise it's not working. So on the route table, we need to choose this destination to outgoing is going to this VPC peering. So any request from this location is go to this peering connection. So we need to add this thing in route table. Same way we need to add VPC2. So that CIDR block target is this, and we need to go this VPC. So update security group, we need to also update the security group to CIDR block. If you use the same CIDR block, we need to in security group we need to update these two VPCs allow from one to another. So we need to update the security group also. Test connection, we need to go to SSH NEC2, then ping that private IP. So we can see if the pairing is working fine, then we are able to get the reply. For real DevOps use case, we can see something like multi VPC architecture. So sometimes we need to isolate our like database or web server from another VPC. So when we are doing this type of application where we need to multiple VPC, it's very useful VPC peering in real dev course. And microservice in separate VPC, like when if you deploy EC2 or microservice in another VPC, like our target is like high availability mode, then we will try to deploy microservice one VPC and another microservice is another VPC. That thing will also very helpful in real DevOps case. And DevOps and production are isolated, like if you want to deploy everything in one VPC and production is deployed to another VPC, that way our work is isolated, so no one interrupt to any another. So this thing also use in real DevOps case. So limitation, this is very important for interview question. So no transitive pairing. So what is transitive pairing? Let me go to the image again. So like if we create a VPC here, so this is one VPC A and this is VPC B and this is VPC C. So if you create a pairing from A to B and B to C, so A can access B, B can access C, but A is not able to access this C. So for that purpose, you need to create another pairing. Otherwise, it will not working. This is transitive VPC pairing. So if you have a VPC pairing from A to B and B to C, it's not mean A is access to C. For access A to C, you need to create another VPC pairing. So that thing is no transitive pairing option. No overloading CIDR block. So every VPC have to use different CIDR block. If you use same CIDR block, then you are not able to do the VPC pairing. And you need to add manual root table. So in the root table, you need to add that VPC pairing is access to that VPC. Like in this VPC root table, you need to tell if any request which you want to access this VPC, you need to add that thing in this root table. Same way, if C want to access A in this root table, you need to tell if any want to access this VPC, you need to add that VPC connection there. So common mistake what we are doing is root table not updated. We do everything and we are not able, like forget to add the root table. So our VPC pairing will not working. So make sure if it's not working, you need to check the root table. Then also you need to check the security block. If you are not allow that security group or that VPC to access this EC2, then we need to allow this thing also, and CIDR overlap. So if you are using same CIDR block in both VPC, then our VPC pairing will not working. So our summary is VPC pairing is private communication. So communicating from one VPC to another VPC, we are using VPC pairing. Work via root table, so it's working by root table, and no internet it is required. Okay, so your homework is you will create two VPC and you will create two setup, two subnet and those things also, like two EC2. Then you will create a VPC pairing, then launch EC2 from in both EC2, then test the ping. Now we'll go to the dashboard and I will show you totally hands-on how to create a VPC pairing, all those things. So let me go to the AWS console. So here you can see there is two VPC, VPC1 and VPC2. And in this VPC1, we already created one EC2. So this EC2 is under VPC1 and this EC2 is under VPC2. Okay, so now if you try to get access from this EC2 to this EC2 by using private IP, then that means your VPC pairing is working fine. And one thing, like if you want to know how to create a VPC, I have already created a video. You can just check that video. I will put the description on the right side. So if you go to the console, so this is this EC2 is under VPC1 and this EC2 is under VPC2, and you can see this IP is different. So VPC IP is different block, CIDR block is different. So you can also check from here. So this VPC1 CIDR block is 172.31 or something, and this VPC2 CIDR block is 10.0.0.16. So make sure like both CIDR block should be different. So now if you try to ping from this IP from this IP server, if you get this private IP, that means your VPC pairing is working, or you can access from this VPC to this VPC. So let me try first. You can see we are not able to access the EC2 from this EC2. Okay, now we need to create a VPC peering, and we need to add that VPC peering connection in the root table. So now in the documentation you can see we need to create a VPC peering, give a name, and we need to accept. So if you go to VPC dashboard, and you can see peering connection. Okay, so now let me open it in different tab. So there is no VPC peering, and make sure you are in the same region where is VPC is located. So we are in OHIO region. So create a VPC connection. So give a name like PR1. So from which VPC you want to select request. So like I select VPC1. So VPC1 is requested to VPC2 accept me. So when you select that VPC1, the CIDR will automatically come. Then it is the same account. So we are choosing the same account, same region. So this is showing US is to 1. That means OHIO. US is 2 means OHIO. So now you need to choose the target VPC where I need to go. So VPC ID acceptor, who will be accept. So VPC2 need to be accept. So you need to select VPC2. Then VPC2 CIDR block is showing here. Now you need to create a peering connection. We are already in the same account, so we'll get the accept request here. So action, you can see requested. So we are in the same account. That's why I get this action. So I can see here is option accept request, reject request. So we need to click accept request. So which requested me that thing showing here. So request ID, account ID, and CIDR block. All these things is showing here. Now you need to click accept request. Now we need to do another more thing, which is we need to add the internet gateway. Root table. We need to add the entity in the root table. So we need to go to the root table. So let me open in different tab. So you can see there is two root table. VPC1. This is for VPC1 root table, and this is for VPC2 root table. So I am trying to connect from VPC1 to VPC2 EC2. So we need to go to the root table. You can see here. So we need to go to the edit root table. Then you need to click add root table. So our CIDR block is 10.0.0.0, I think. So 10.0.0.16. So we are trying to connect by VPC peering connection. So it's showing peering connections. You need to select that one. You can see the peering connection. So now any EC2 from this CIDR block, if they want to connect any EC2 which is this CIDR block, then you can add a root table. So any EC2 try to connect this EC2, that connection should be go to this root table. So, and this root table will follow the VPC peering connection. Now we need to save change. Same way, if you also add the root table in that VPC also. So go to the VPC2 and now go to the VPC2 root table, edit root table, add root. Now our CIDR block is different, 172 something. So let me go to the VPC2 and copy that VPC1 CIDR block. Okay, so let me copy that one. Now same way VPC peering connection. So now if any EC2 from this CIDR block, if want to try to connect any EC2 to this CIDR block, that will be go to the root table and root table send to the connection to VPC peering, then that will be connected. Now save changes. So now if you go to the EC2 console, and you can see the ping is coming. Okay, so this way we are using VPC peering. If you want to connect from any one EC2 to another EC2, we are using VPC peering. Let me stop that one. So you can see, and same way if you want to connect from this, this you can also, like if you try to say. You can see we can get the ping request. So make sure for using VPC peering, you need to add the entry in the root table. So if you create the VPC peering, it will not work. You need to add that entry in the root table. Okay. So let me go to documentation again. So all step which I follow, I have done from this documentation. So that's all for today's video. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe the channel. In the next video, we'll discuss any different topics of AWS. So up to that time, best of luck. Bye.